Hey everyone, welcome back to Self-Care Saturday. I am super excited. My next guest is Tara from Highway to Well. And Tara and I have never met. This is our first time, but we go back. So 4 years ago, I was on a little journey to lose some weight, and Tara was referred to me from a friend. And honestly, my journey was so much more than what I expected in working with Tara. So I wrote down a few things. I came out of her program really with an understanding about how food affected me. I mean, that was key for me, and an awareness of really what wasn't making me happy. I was trying to spin this in a positive way, but really I came out knowing that there were things in my life that really weren't making me happy, that were causing me maybe to eat more food. And some awesome guidelines for self-care, things I really wasn't really paying much attention to in just living, just really racing through life. So here is Tara. I'm super excited to hear what she has to say and some great information for her to share with us. She's going to tell us more about you, Tara. Take it away.
Well, hi, everyone. First of all, I am so excited to finally see your face. And I want to thank you for inviting me to be on your program here. I think it's fabulous. So just a little intro. I am a holistic health coach and a weight loss coach, essentially. My business name is Highway to Well, and I have an evidence-based and holistic approach to health and wellness. So what that means essentially is that I don't only teach my clients the science behind what is healthy for them, what they need to eat in a day in order to reach their optimal weight, but I also look at their lifestyle as a whole. I look at their relationships. I look at their career. I look at whatever is going on in their life to help them determine what kind of dietary theory is going to work for them, what in their life, what imbalance in their life is perhaps holding them back. So I've found that between my holistic health coaching and then my master's in science, which I am still pursuing, I'm able to marry the two and really help service my clients in a way that's a little bit different than maybe what other nutritionists might do. I am also, I like to call myself sort of a clean mixologist. This came out of working with clients in the past several years and having a lot of men and women come to me and say, okay, you have me in this clean lifestyle and I'm feeling better, but does this mean I can never have a drink again? I can never do something that I enjoy, that's part of my lifestyle, that's part of my social life. And so I paired up with another holistic health coach, and we wrote a book called Clean Cocktails, Righteous Recipes for the Modern Mixologist. And it was published in December 2017. So it's been out for a while now. And it's funny, it's been like 2.5 years, almost, I guess 2.5 years. And tomorrow we are actually launching our first Instagram live series called Quarantine Cocktails with Quarantine Cocktails with the Clean Mixologist. So we're going to teach our clients just to how to make some of the drinks and really just sort of some of the skills, the things that you don't really know about, how to muddle fruit versus how to muddle herbs, or why you want to muddle the skins of a fruit to get the oils out and the flavor out and those sorts of things. So that's like a whole other layer of my sort of my brand, I guess. And then finally, I'm also a co-owner of the Align Wellness Studio, which is a Pilates studio here in Millemann. And it's where I see a lot of my Highway to Well clients, my nutrition clients. And we have acupuncturists, we have other fitness classes, we have infrared sauna. It's just like a feel-good place to come and just care about yourself and take care of your body and take care of your mind and have it all in one stop.
I love it. I mean, when I saw that you did the book, that you wrote the book, I checked it out on Amazon, and we were talking before we started the interview, and I never really know what to mix. I know what alcohol I like, but I don't know what really always to mix it with, because some of the other mixers I use upset my stomach. And so I don't know what to do. So anyway, I can't wait to check it out. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, you also worked with my sister, and I really thought, like, my sister and I would talk. I told her how great you were, and then she, was asked to ask for your number, and you started working with her on her plan, whatever her journey was. But it was just so different. So, I mean, and you said that you just looked at both of our needs in just such a different way, because even the books you were telling her to read were a little different than me. And I remember we'd be excited. She's like, "Did she tell you about this?" And I'd be like, "No, what's that book about?" I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't get into that with her." So it was
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I mean, and that's part of the beauty of doing what I do. And I love what I do because I get to know my clients, if they let me, which the majority do, on a really intimate level. And it allows me to and I pride myself on my ability and my effort to customize my programs, not only the nutrition piece, but just the whole holistic piece, like the guidance that I give you. What I was working on with Rose was very different than, like you said, than your path. She was working crazy hours, if I recall.
Oh my God, super crazy.
Super crazy hours. And we were just talking about, like, how do we create space for yourself? How do we start saying no to things that are not serving you? And really focusing on the fact that if you are not taking care of yourself, and if she wasn't taking care of herself, she couldn't take care of her clients. Right?
Yeah.
It's like putting your own oxygen mask on before you help someone else. You have to make sure that you are whole, that you are taken care of before you can go out and take care of your children, your family, your clients, your colleagues. And a lot of times, I think women in particular, we often feel very selfish to put ourselves first.
Big time.
And it's just wrong. I mean, I think if you change your perspective and you realize how much that 1 hour workout, or that 15 minutes of meditation, or that weekly manicure, whatever it is that gives you joy, that makes you feel like, oh, okay, I got my break and I can now re-engage with the rest of the world. Whatever it is, you need to give yourself permission, because it's allowing you to be that much better in all the other areas of your life.
So true. And I love when you sat with me, really, and there was that happiness circle. We were rating different things in our life, and my husband looked at it and he said, "I can't believe you're not happy." And I forget what aspect actually it was. And I said, "This doesn't have to do with you." I'm like, it's not.
It was joy, right? It was the joy. It was the circle of life exercise that we did.
Yes.
And there were all these facets of your life that you felt good about, your relationships, your education, all of that.
Yes.
But then when you got to joy, there was something about it that made you feel like that piece was not where it needed to be. And that's when you realized that there was something that was missing, that all of these areas were great, but you weren't joyful. And then we dug deep.
But I love, and you held space for me. And when I look back at that time, there are things I couldn't do. I wasn't at that place where I could take the steps to make change happen. And then things happen in your life that make you reevaluate. And that gave me the strength to take those steps. And then it was like, woo, all right, here's the joy. I found it.
Why we do it. Yeah, that's amazing. That makes me feel so good.
And you were so right. And, and it was recently where I reached out to you to say, hey, you were so right. This did take me a long time, though. It took me 4 years or so to be able to take that step.
But you took it.
But I took it.
Facing the fears and the uncertainty and all of it, but you took it.
I took it. And it's recently, I don't know if I had told you, but I ended up with Bell's palsy after the studio closed when COVID hit.
I
I'm not
did
sure.
not know that.
So we were talking before, I started doing the interview with you. And I feel like when I was listening to you say, like, those first few weeks, you were kind of in this mode where maybe just trying to figure things out, which is exactly what happened to me. In terms of trying to figure it out, I just kept rolling. And one of the things, I don't know if you remember, you said to me, and I remember, because you were so right. I mean, you never met me. You just heard me. We were talking about my life and what I was doing. You're like, I picture you, Renee, like this little hamster on a wheel, you said. And when I find myself getting like that, I remember, like, you saying that, and that I need to take a step back. So when the studio closed, I became the hamster on the wheel again. And so, I just kept on going and doing so much in a little period of time. And then I got the Bell's palsy. And then I took a step back and a breath. I opened up my resources that I had from you, and I started reading again.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it was like the self-care. It was all those things. Remember when you were a kid, that kind of just made me take the step back.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to do that, right? We have to, give ourselves permission to become frenetic, right? Like, that's what's going to happen anytime there's a big change. And this pandemic hit all of us the side of the head, and I don't think anyone realized just what was coming our way. And so I was the same way. I mean, I was a hamster in a wheel, and then all of a sudden I had to just say, okay, I got that out of my system. I'm on a road to nowhere.
Right.
So let's take a deep breath, and let's just pause for a moment and figure out, how do we get back on track? What is the trajectory? What do the next 6 months to a year look like? What do you want them to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this pandemic, the silver lining is it's giving you a permission to slow down and actually focus on what it is you really want in your life. Maybe things weren't working for you the way that they were before. And now you have the opportunity to not only reassess, but to maybe just pull yourself out from a situation and say, look, this wasn't working for me. And now I have a really good reason to take a step back and channel my energy in a different direction.
So true. I mean, I feel like, it's security to have a routine and want to keep that routine the same. But when the studio closed, I was trying so hard to keep that routine the same, but it couldn't be the same. I was trying to recreate something that just wasn't. Right. And so when I kind of went along with the ebbs and flows of what was happening and let go, right, and just kind of took the breath, and I got myself together, more started to happen for me in a positive way with the Zooming and the business and all that. I needed to take care of myself first, like you're saying.
You needed to take care of yourself. Yeah. And I think also sometimes we need to quiet the mind so that we can sort of hear what the universe wants for us. The pings, the universal pings that we get, the gut instinct, whatever it is, however you want to look at it. Mm-hmm. But I think we're receiving messages, right? And the same things go through our mind time and time again. And for whatever reason, we say no to them, or we resist them. And then before you know it, you're swimming upstream. Whereas if you just allow yourself to kind of go with the flow, mm-hmm. and allow these messages kind of just to process them and see where they take you, I think beautiful things can happen.
You're so right. And I definitely am seeing more of that now too, as each time goes on. I mean, I will say, I don't know about, it's just sometimes it's difficult. Each day brings on just a different mood, I want to say. Sure. On a different mood. And when the sun is out, I feel so much better. Yeah. The big thing I stopped doing too, which was hard to make, for me, it was just making maybe 1 or 2 changes a week. and looking at, what we went over in terms of nutrition, but definitely stopping the coffee helped a lot ease my anxiety so
Mhm.
much. And that's one of
Yeah.
the things, right, in the elimination too, is it's at least cutting down on the coffee. That was
Excessive caffeine, yeah. And look, the vitamin D, you're saying that the sun, I've been the same way. When that sun is shining, I
Mhm.
don't even mind being
Yeah.
stuck at home so much, right? I've got time to take the dog for a walk or play lacrosse in the backyard with my son, or, when it's gray, it's hard. It's hard. But take your vitamin D. I know we talked about that too.
Yes. No,
We
you're
are
right.
all deficient in vitamin D. It's not a vitamin that you can get through your food source. We do not get enough direct sunlight here in the Northeast. So, try and get your vitamin D. Try and get out in the sun for like 10 minutes a day. Just feel the sun on your face, move your body, all
Yes.
those little things.
Yeah, it's something so nice and peaceful about just feeling the sun, right, hearing the birds, and just
Birds. Yeah.
feeling grounded. So
I
you're
don't need to hear them at 4 a.m., but
so right now.
I realized that they start singing a lot earlier than I had previously realized, and
You're right.
definitely wakes me. Definitely wakes me.
I'm so privy to that too. And it drives my husband nuts when I keep the window open, and that's what it is. You hear it more too when the window's open.
I know.
I'm like, and then I put it up and everybody else is still sleeping.
Yeah.
And I could just tell you, he stirs and looks at me. I'm
Yep.
like, well,
At the window, Renee.
so you are a mom, you're a business owner too. I'm sure with all this, so were you teaching? I forget how old your kids are. I mean, they were really tiny 4 years ago.
Yeah. So I just have one. I have Ben, and he's 11 now, but he was tiny when
Yeah.
we worked together. And he's, I'm homeschooling him. He has 4 days a week of actually being on Zoom calls with his school from about 11:30 until 2:30.
Wow.
He's pretty self-sufficient at this point.
Wow. That's
I
good.
yell out a little bit, make sure that he's actually submitted the work that he's supposed to submit, help him when I can. It's funny, we have all of this time now at home, and yet in some respects I feel like we're all busier than ever, because now we're teachers, but we're also the short order cooks.
Yeah.
Now you're making 3 meals a day, or my husband is. That he's been very good about that. And we're trying to run our businesses, so it's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to juggle.
One of the questions that I have for you is about food, and really, what foods do you go to for good energy to build our immune system? I know a lot of people, besides taking a vitamin, are looking to that. At least I am too. Like, what can I do to help boost my immune system? What are some good foods?
So one thing that and I'm pretty sure that you and I talked about it years ago, everyone should take a probiotic. Probiotic protects your good gut health, the bacteria, the good bacteria in your gut. Or flora is something that you'll also hear, your intestinal flora. It's what keeps your body balanced. It's what keeps your digestive system functioning optimally. So you do not need to be taking an antibiotic to warrant taking a probiotic, okay? You should always take the probiotic. However, if you don't and you take an antibiotic, you will find a lot of people get digestive upset from a course of antibiotics, like yeast infections and things like that affect women. So a good probiotic will really protect you from that. I also really believe in the power of bone broth. The marrow has all of those nutritious properties that help with inflammation in our body. And right now with COVID-19 and all of these inflammatory responses as a result, like the upper respiratory infections and issues, I really think that bone broth is something that everyone can incorporate into their diet. Yes, some people drink it, but you can make soups with it, make vegetable soups, make chicken soups. But just buying a regular broth off the shelf at a store is not the same as the good bone broth that has been marinating and cooking for over 24 hours, you know, and getting all the nutrient from that marrow itself. And then you can toss in whatever you want into that marrow. I'm sorry, into the bone broth. Turmeric, which is also a true anti-inflammatory. There is science backing that. Garlic also has anti-inflammatory properties. So throw that into your broth. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The boxed ones, Tara, of a bone broth, I saw those out recently. Have you seen those? Like, they're already prepared bone broths.
Yeah, there are a lot that are out there. I mean, one of my favorite small businesses is Fettle and Fair, and she, I feel like, introduced me to bone broth. She is someone who is living with MS, and she fully believes that the consumption of bone broth, along with some other dietary changes, have really helped her stay in remission, if that is the proper term to use in her circumstances, but it's helped her stay healthy. So she really introduced it to me, and she actually sells the bone broth online. She sells it at her store, which is in Westfield. She's pretty awesome. She's pretty great. In addition to the bone broth, elderberry syrup, especially if you can find a homemade elderberry syrup. My acupuncturist, Maureen Geese is her name. She owns Soul Sprout Family Acupuncture, which actually her office is at Align. She has always told me that she thinks that elderberry syrup is an antiviral, like the only antiviral out there. And I know that there are disputes like about the science, whether or not that's true, but what's certainly true is that elderberries are very high in A, B, and C vitamins. So that's going to be a really good immunity booster. And a lot of people make their own elderberry syrup. Maureen does. She sells it. It goes out of stock immediately. But I think she just makes it with fresh elderberries and honey, and it tastes really good. It's great for kids. And I know that anytime I really feel like I'm getting sick, I get a jar from her. I take like a teaspoon or two a day, you know, consecutive days, and I swear it like holds off whatever I feel brewing in my system.
Yeah, you know, my sister made it also, and she had me taste it, and it was dynamite. So what you would buy normally, so she'll tell me things, you know, again, I fall off track. She kind of keeps me, hey, remember to do this or that. And then I'll go buy it. And then she'll say, well, did you look and see about the ingredients exactly on there? What brand did you use? And so, yeah, that makes such a big difference to really look at what you're buying to make sure those ingredients are whole.
Right. I mean, if you go to, let's say, a Walgreens or just your standard pharmacy, they have elderberry syrup there, but it's got a lot of additives and a lot of preservatives, obviously, because it's got to have a shelf life. So I definitely recommend looking for something at a farmer's market or something that is made and sold by a holistic health practitioner. And I think there are a lot of, or look for a good recipe and make it yourself.
Yeah, she said it didn't really take that long. It wasn't a big deal to make. And I love, you know, that she kind of motivates me to try new things, and like eat the almond milk she tried, you know, at least trying it once or twice to see, hey, you know, what does it taste like when it's real from its origin? Because it's such a difference when I had the syrup, and then when I really like chewables or liquids. I really don't like swallowing stuff. I have such a hard time. So when I tasted it, I was like blown away. I was like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't taste like medicine because it's not medicine.
It's not medicine. Okay. This is one thing that I feel like when I first had reached out to you, I had a hard time getting better in touch with myself to make better choices, food choices. What can people do, I guess, when they're, and you know, when I think back to like the whole process of being, you know, like you're out of touch with your body, you're stressed out,
Mhm.
You're eating, for me, it was just exercising way too much and feeling more of that when this happened, because that's what I do best, is just exercise to pound it out. And then
Right.
I'll just keep pounding it out. And hey, that's great to do one thing, but it's slowing down. So what are some good things, good takeaways maybe that you could tell us, I guess, from a food, maybe even a movement standpoint, to get better in touch with our bodies?
So I think all of us would benefit from just taking 10 minutes in the morning. And look, I don't do this a lot. And I don't do it in the morning. I maybe do it throughout the day. But taking 10 minutes in the day to just, whether it's to breathe and focus on your breath, maybe set some intentions for the day.
Mhm.
Um, I don't believe in preaching perfection. Perfection is nonsense. No one is perfect, plus it's boring. So I always just preach progress. What's something that you can do today that would be better than tomorrow, right? And maybe just set a couple of intentions for the day, making more mindful choices about your food. Or, if you find that you are stress eating, every time that you go to reach for a bag of cookies or whatever it is that you're gravitating to in your kitchen. By the way, it can also be alcohol. It can be wine, right? Whatever you're gravitating to, try and sit for 10 minutes and maybe journal or just write down what's going on. Like, what triggered you? What's causing you stress? What is going to happen when you consume that glass of wine, or that second glass of wine, or that row of Oreos? How are you going to feel after that? Are the anxieties that you had that led up to it going to dissipate, or are you actually piling it on? So I believe in like taking those 10 minutes to really just try and set some intentions, because it kind of gives you, what's the word? Not so much a routine, although I am a really big believer in routine, but I think it just kind of gives you some gentle guidelines for the day. And when you go into the day knowing, okay, I'm really going to be focusing on my food choices, you might not reach for the sugar cereal that's in the cabinet. Maybe you make yourself a smoothie. And I think one good choice leads to another. So, I think that, let's say, for example, that you're not someone that exercises, but you are someone who wants to move more and needs to move more. I believe in exercise for stress relief. I believe, obviously you do too. I believe in exercise for toning. I do not look at exercise as a mode to weight loss. In fact, I always tell my clients, don't rely on the exercise for weight loss. Look at it as your mental piece, right? It's your endorphins. It's your feel good moment. Don't look at it as, a full hour a day, every day is necessary. Little 20-minute clips throughout a day, or a couple of 20-minute walks throughout the course of the week, is progress. And usually what I find is that when we start to move with the intention of doing it for 20 minutes, we often wind up doing more.
Absolutely.
So I want people to find the pleasure in
Yeah.
exercise. And I want people to have the freedom to do what it is they want to do, just to move their body. That might mean taking a yoga class. It might mean walking the dog. It might mean playing with your kid in the backyard. It doesn't have to be an hour-long, 60-minute, high-intensity workout. So if you are someone who doesn't like exercise, just move your body. Just feel the benefit of, a mile walk to get coffee in the morning on a nice sunny day and getting the vitamin D. Like, there's so much wellness that comes from the little things. So I don't like people to just overload themselves with, oh, I've got to be perfect. I've got to keep to this caloric restriction, which I don't believe in either. Or I've got to get in my workout every day. No, just move your body, find something that makes you happy, that gives you joy, that feels good. and do that. One little trick that I'll share with you, and I might be getting off track, so if you need to pull me in, please feel free. But one little trick that I like to share with people who feel that they snack too much and they don't, or they're not really mindful about what they're eating.
Okay.
I tell clients to bring a little Ziploc bag around with them, and whenever they go to take a snack or take a bite of something, whether it's like a nibble of fries from your kid's plate, whatever it is, when you go to eat it, put it in the plastic bag. Whenever you've got that desire, rather than putting it in your mouth, put it in that Ziploc bag, and then take a look at that bag at the end of the day and see how much crap
Right.
would have gone into your mouth, right? And then you realize it's like, because I have a lot of clients that think that they are eating really healthy. Well, I eat healthy. I make really good choices. I'm not sure why the weight won't come off. This, I think, is a really great mindfulness tool, and it brings that awareness visually to you. Oh my gosh, I'm consuming like 500 more calories than I was taking credit for.
No, I love that. That's such a great idea because I've been so busy on a different level, I realized how many times prior to this and being home, I was eating mindlessly.
Yeah.
It was just picking on things, and
Right.
because I was thinking about other things that I had to solve, and instead I was eating. But one last thing that I remember you saying to me, and this always stood with me too. You see, we worked together for maybe 3 months or so, but these little things made such an impression. I remember one time being so tired, and I was telling you that I think I practically ate a bag of pretzels. And I was like, well, I was so tired. And you said, well, why didn't you just rest?
Take a nap. Take a nap.
You were
Listen
like,
to your body.
yes,
Your body didn't want pretzels.
Yes, it wanted to sleep.
Your body wanted to sleep, but you felt, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to eat my pretzels.
Right.
Like, give yourself permission.
I know.
Right? Because you ate the pretzels, and did you feel more energized afterwards?
No, I felt like such garbage. And then I remember more tired, but it was this feeling. And I had this conversation. I could just talk to you forever, but
I know.
Recently I had this conversation with my mom, and I said, of course now, when you give yourself space and time and things, I'm meditating more, you can catch things. And what I'm catching is I see how my mom also never likes to sit. And so she has a hard time sitting because she feels there's something to it. I don't want to answer it for her. We had this discussion, so I feel okay saying it, but it's just there's something to not being able to sit. And so she's like, I'm going to think about that. So I said, okay. And I've kind of taken on that same role.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think sometimes we feel lazy, right? Or we feel uncomfortable in like the silence.
Yes.
You just feel like there's so much I have to do that I don't have the right to take these 25 or 30 minutes for myself. But, you're that much more productive when you do sit and rest and have perspective and just calm everything down. Calm your nervous system. Chill out.
Oh, true. And it's so challenging sometimes to be.
It is. And it's really hard if you work a corporate job too.
Oh,
I mean, I often think, like, would I still be able to balance it if I were still an attorney? If I still did what I did before, like, would I be, but again, it's always about progress, and it's maybe about just finding one or two things that are really working against you and just trying to make progress in those areas rather than aiming for complete perfection, because it's never going to be perfect. Yeah. Your routine will never be perfect.
You're right, because I'm changing it now too as I go along. I'm like, well, that was working for me 2 weeks ago. Right now, I'm like, I think I need to tweak it again. And I'm like, wow, that's okay. It's okay that you had to tweak it again. You'll be okay.
It's okay, exactly. Which means the fact that you recognize that you're listening to yourself finally.
Yes, Yes, I'm feeling better. I'm coming out of, I'm feeling more hopeful. I was telling my clients too, I said, there's hope. Yeah, I can only relate this to, again, my world is fitness world, or like a vacation that you plan, that you're planning and the light is at the end of the tunnel. And because it's so not clear when our end date, when we can go back to work is, I guess, or I look at it like a
Yeah.
marathon race, you know, I know where that finish line is. This, I don't know where it is. So I'm searching. You know?
Yeah, it's daunting.
Yeah.
It's daunting. It
Yeah.
really is. But try and focus on like it's a forced slow down to a
Yeah.
hectic life, right? And focus on some things that maybe you've always wanted to do, but have
Yeah.
never made time to do because you're running a business. And you know, to pick or two of those things and maybe take these next couple of weeks while we're still in
Yeah.
quarantine
Good idea.
to explore those a little bit.
Well, I just want to thank you for being here. I know how busy you are. I mean, you're running two businesses and have a family. So I so appreciate you being with me, Tara, and really taking time. It really was a pleasure to spend this time with you. It went like this.
It did, and it is my pleasure. And I thank you so much for bringing me on. Like the tears like want to well up just thinking that you've held on to some of the things that we've discussed. And I very much have always felt that connection with you over these years. And I just love that you reached out. And I'm just so honored to be part of your growth and part of your story here as it continues.
Oh, thank you.
Mwah.
And a hug.
Be healthy.
Be
Remember,
healthy.
Renee says, be healthy.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.